Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Mezzala role in Football Manager, and let's get started with an overview of the role. The Mezzala is a central midfielder and is what's called a half winger. This means they don't go out as wide as a winger, but they're not as central as an attacking midfielder. They operate in what's called the half space, and this is often an area of the field where there are gaps in the defense. This gives the player plenty of playmaking chances since the Mezzala is a creative role. With the ball, they can use their dribbling and acceleration attributes to put pressure on the defense in these half spaces. But they also use attributes like passing and vision to create scoring chances. Without the ball, the Mezzala will make dangerous runs in behind the defense to get in on goal. Here, they use attributes like anticipation, off the ball, and finishing. While on defense, the Mezzala will track back and help the team during periods of opposition possession. But because this is a creative role, usually played by creative players, that means that defense isn't their strong suit, and as such, they'll need plenty of defensive cover behind them, which we'll get into later. Next, let's look at some formation ideas to best utilize the Mezzala. And there are so many different play styles that you can use the Mezzala in, and this has a lot to do with how you can adapt their support and attack duty to how you want to play. On support, the Mezzala will play a more balanced game, playing with less risk, while picking and choosing forward runs. On attack, naturally he'll play with more risk, making more aggressive runs and getting deep into the final third to both score and assist on goals. Both the support and attack duty have a roam from position, hard-coded player instruction, and this means you'll see them drift around the field looking for open space. And this role is best utilized in a midfield trio like in a 4-3-3, but you can also adapt it to a variety of play styles. For example, you can do a creative central midfield where you have a Mezzala paired with an advanced playmaker up top and then a holding defensive midfielder, like an anchor man. Or you can use the Mezzala as the primary playmaker in combination with hard-working midfielders, like the box-to-box midfielder and a ball-winning midfielder. Or you can use one of my favorite trios, which is a Mezzala on support, a central midfielder on attack, and then a deep-lying playmaker on defend. But just because it's best to use a midfield trio with a Mezzala, that doesn't mean you have to use a 4-3-3. For example, you can try something like the Christmas tree formation. Though you lose some wide players, you ensure that you will never be outnumbered in the midfield. And to see how my Mezzala is set up, let's go back to my Stuttgart tactic. The tactic is a 4-3-3 and my primary Mezzala is Angelo Stieler. Standout attributes include his passing, vision, and composure. He does have low off the ball, a key attribute for the Mezzala, so that's one area I can specialize focus in training. In the last video I did on the complete forward, we used this same Stuttgart tactic, and in it I talked about how I wanted to create width in our attack. Well, in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can have enough players providing defensive cover for those attacking roles like the Mezzala. Let's go back to my tactic and I'll walk us through the player roles. Starting with the midfield trio, I've essentially got two playmakers in the center midfield, and they will be the two primary creators of the team. That means I don't need somebody creative in the defensive midfielder. I use an anchor man, but you could use a ball-winning midfielder, a halfback, or the defensive midfielder role. In a tactic, if possible, I will use at least 3 players on defend duty throughout the entire formation. So my defensive midfielder and 2 center backs are all on defend duty. And the other roles can provide defensive cover without necessarily needing to be on defend duty. Our 2 players in the fullback position, the inverted wingback and a wingback, are both on support duty. With the support duty, these 2 will try to balance their offensive and defensive responsibilities. And that's how I've set up the tactic to provide cover, so let's look at a highlight again and see how it plays out in a match. For the highlight breakdown, we're going to look at the same goal from the complete forward, but this time focus on our defensive cover. We pick it up after the spell of possession where our inverted wingback passes out to the winger. When the Mezzala starts his attacking run into the penalty box, look at how many we have back. The roaming playmaker is looking for a pass, but he's also there as our first line to stop a counter. The inverted wingback, anchorman, and wingback have created a solid bank of 3 defenders. And not only that, but we have 2 center backs as a last resort. And I know it's not the most exciting thing to show a highlight of some people standing around providing defensive cover, but it's an essential part of building a tactic because you always want to have players back, even if you don't need them. So we scored a goal and provided defensive cover, all by using really a combination of player roles. And finally, let's look at some player examples. We'll start with a top level player, go to a lower league player, and then a special treat for the youth prospect. And starting with the top level player, there are so many good Mezzalas, but I've always loved the attributes of Luis Alberto from Lazio. Looking at his attributes, his flair is 20, so he loves to do the unexpected. And in combination with his first touch, passing, technique, decisions, and vision, means he can create some spectacular plays. This play style is increased with his player trait tries killer balls often. For the lower league player, we go to Chile and Cesar Valenzuela. He's got passing, technique, flair, and vision, and he actually one-ups Alberto on the player traits by adding tries long-range passes. And now that we're at the youth prospect, we actually have a special treat because we're staying with Stuttgart. Funny enough, we actually got a potential world-class central midfielder in our youth intake. Reichmann is barely 16 years old and has a number of attributes ready for the Bundesliga. And he already has borderline elite key attributes in passing, technique, decisions, and acceleration. Anyway, the Mezzala is one of the best, most popular roles in Football Manager, and for good reason. This is a playmaking role in all but name. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching.